Hi, I'm Lillian. Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be tier ranking all of the book series I've ever read. I love tier ranking videos, so I'm jumping onto this bandwagon just slightly late. All of the series in this video are either ones that I've completely finished or that I've read at least the first 4 books from. Originally, I was going to be much stricter and only have series I had completely finished, but I've softened the rules slightly so that I can include series that I'm currently in the middle of and haven't quite reached the end of yet. But still, the majority of them are actually books I read when I was younger, so this video is also a little bit of an expose on my childhood and teenage reading self. This is the first time I'm doing any kind of screen recording for a video, so please bear with me. I thought I was going to have to download some crazy software to get this to work, but actually my new laptop just does that. So that was a nice surprise and I'm hoping it goes smoothly. So let's just get into it. I have 32 series to rank and my tiers I've chosen to use are adore it, love it, like it, tolerate it, forgot it, and unhaul it. So I'm going to start with ACOTAR. This is like booktube royalty, I guess, at this point. When I first read the first 2 books, I actually really enjoyed them. Third book wasn't great even the first time I read it, and I was like full on in love ACOTAR mode. I didn't really like the third book. But upon some rereads, I've had to conclude it's just not a very good series. Like really, it's very, very enjoyable. But you do have to switch off your sort of critical thinking skills to enjoy it, I find. So I'm gonna put that in tolerate it. But no, it's meant with love. Next we have the Rainbow Fairies series. Oh my goodness, I was obsessed with these as a kid. We got really into them. We read the first series, which had 7 books, and it was the Rainbow Fairies. It's 1 for each colour. But then they just like kept releasing them, and I checked on Goodreads. There's now 100 of these fairy books. So I'm gonna put it in like it. It gets points for being like a true love of my childhood. I was really, really obsessed with them. I wrote my own fairy book, which was like a direct rip-off of Ruby the Red Fairy when I was like in year 2, so I would have been 6 or 7, and I was so, so proud of that. But the series loses points for being so incredibly long no one could ever read it, and also because the author, Daisy Meadows, is quite obviously a pseudonym for a group of writers, and I didn't realise that until I was an adult, and that kind of crushed my soul a little bit. So we're going to put that in like it. Then we have the Noughts and Crosses series by Malorie Blackman. To be honest, I don't really remember much of this one. I kind of enjoyed it, but I don't remember really any specifics. So I'm going to put it in forgot it. I think that's the most accurate place to put that. But next we have Mortal Engines. Absolutely one of my favourite series of all time. Adore it, have loved it forever, will always love it. This is a series sort of set in the future. I guess you could kind of say it's a dystopian series. I think of it as more like science fiction steampunk, but it is set in like a very far distant version of our world. And in this world, all of the cities are built kind of like, imagine like wedding cakes where there's like tiers from big to small at the top, and they move around on like wheels, kind of like massive tanks. And big cities like hunt small towns and small villages, and it was just so cool. Absolutely loved it. It's a 4-book series which I would highly, highly recommend. I know they made a film of it a couple of years ago, which I have not seen and don't want to see, because honestly I watched the trailer and I was like, you've ruined it. I could tell from the trailer that they had ruined it. So I'm not going to watch the film, but I will forever and always love the series. And I also have the prequel series Fever Crumb, which I'm gonna put it in like it. I thought it was a very solid series. Obviously I didn't love it as much as Mortal Engines, because how could I? But I thought it did a really good job actually of being a prequel series. It gave us some well-needed insight into how this world came to be. It sort of tells the story of how the first city got wheels and started like moving around, and it gave the origin story to actually a major character in the main series in quite like a surprising way, which I really, really liked. Then we have the Wicker series. I think this is released in the US as like the Sweep series, which I heard lots of people talk about, and I was like, I've never heard of this series. Then I realised I had already read it. In year 7 I read it in our school library. It's like 15 books long, and it's released here as the Wicker series, and which I do think is actually a more accurate name for it. But yeah, I read this in year 7, and I don't remember very much of it. I do remember really liking it, but I actually read the books out of order by accident, so I was kind of confused towards the beginning, but I did really like it. But yeah, for like a good 6 months of year 7, I read nothing but the Wicker books. Next we have the Game of Thrones books. Again, I softened the rules to this slightly so I could basically include the Game of Thrones books. So obviously the series hasn't all been released yet, so I can't say I've completed it, even though I am up to date on all the books. This one, I think I'm going to put in like it. When I think about the series, I don't really think about the plot as or the characters as like the main appeal. I do think about the world building and the complexity of it, and I actually love watching YouTube videos where they talk about like fan theories and conspiracies and all about the world building and the magic and what people are making guesses at will happen in future books. Absolutely love that. Fell down the rabbit hole of that last year and have yet to climb out, to be honest. I absolutely love YouTube videos about that. But I would say it's like a solid good series. I'm going to keep it in like it as well. Next is His Dark Materials. I think I'm going to have an unpopular opinion on this, and that I so badly want to put it in Unhaul It, but I actually literally have it on my shelves behind me, so I'm going to have to put it in Tolerate It, simply on a technicality. The first book, Northern Lights, or The Golden Compass, I think it's published as in other countries, solid book, really like it. And the second book, The Subtle Knife, I liked the first like 80% of that book, and then towards the end it just turns into like biblical fan fiction, which I'm not interested in like any way. And then I really hate the last book, so that's gonna go in Tolerate It. But it's on thin ice, know that. Then we have another childhood favourite, the Witch Trade series. This is a trilogy about like witches, and it was fun. It had like the Ancient Mariner in. I think there was albatross, except like it wasn't dead, and there were light witches and dark witches, and it was just a fun time. I'm gonna put it in like it. I think as a child I might have put it in Love It, but it loses points because when I was collecting all the book series for this video and like prepping, I actually totally forgot about this one. It was one of the last ones I added in, so it hasn't stuck with me as much as the others have, so I'm going to keep it in like it. Then we have The Hunger Games. That's going to go in the same category. I thought it was solid. I didn't love it as much as other people, but I also wasn't as disappointed by the last book as other people, so that's pretty easy to rank. Next we have Inkheart. This was something I really enjoyed reading, again as like a year 7 and 8. It's all about the ability to bring elements and characters and objects out of stories and then eventually being able to go into the world of stories themselves, and it was just a fun time. As was our next one, The Lady Grace Mysteries, which I'm going to put straight in Love It. This was honestly an iconic series for me as a child. It's set in the Tudor court with Elizabeth I, and it's about a girl called Grace, who I think is technically like not a lady's maid, what is it? A maid of honor? I think that's what they would call them, kind of like ladies in waiting, but like younger, like teenagers. And she solves mysteries, and there's a mystery per book. They're usually murder mysteries, and it was like fun, snappy. I was really obsessed with them. I still stand by the fact that they're probably one of the best childhood series I've ever read. The one drawback is that I have the 8 books of the series, and it finished on like such a great ending, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is the perfect ending, the perfect way to wrap up the series. But then I think they actually went on, and that wasn't the last book in this series. I just thought it was, and I think they actually published 3 or 4 more beyond where I thought it ended, and so I haven't read those ones because I really thought it ended so perfectly in the 8th book. So yeah, that wasn't great, but the 8 books I have read, absolutely loved them. Then we come to one of the weirder book trilogies I own, which is the Silverwing trilogy, which is about bats, and literally in the 3rd book they go to sort of the bat afterlife. It was very bizarre, but I'm gonna put that in Tolerate It because I didn't love it, and actually the villain in this is like this big vampire bat which eats other bats. That was really scary, but was still probably my favourite element of the books was the villain. But overall, it wasn't great, so I'm going to put it in Tolerate It. I'm realising now that still literally the majority of these are childhood series, because next we have Lion Boy, which is another trilogy. This was about a boy who could speak to cats, and you know, big cats as well obviously, and then his parents get kidnapped, and he teams up with a group of lions from the circus to go and hunt them down, and it was just like a lot of fun. Really liked it. I also appreciate the fact that it was a trilogy where the last book was actually as good as the first 2. Each book had its own separate identity and worked really well on its own and as part of the series, and I just remember really liking the ending actually. Okay, I've just got myself a new cushion. Let's continue. We have next the Windsinger trilogy. I didn't really like this series. I'm struggling to remember exactly what this series was about. I'm not sure if you would say it was like science. I think you'd probably say science fiction actually, yeah. But it was like really scary for me as a kid, and not in a way that I appreciated, in a way that like was mildly traumatic. And I got rid of it pretty much as soon as I finished it, so I feel very justified putting that in Unhaul It. Lord of the Rings. I have very mixed opinions on this because I really like the story and I like the films, but the books themselves are quite boring, let's be honest. So while I can appreciate, you know, what it did for the history of the fantasy genre and the complexity in the world building and the languages and all this kind of stuff, I am gonna put it and tolerate it because as a source material, I'm not a fan of reading it, but everything else it produced and everything else it represented, I do really like. Then we have Harry Potter. So to be clear, the 7 books of this series I adore. They were the books that got me into reading as a child. I think for my 5th birthday, I literally wanted to have a Harry Potter party because I was really obsessed with the book series. It was before the film came out. And I wanted to have it because it was like my latest obsession. And my parents literally had to change it slightly and have a witches and wizards party because Harry Potter wasn't very famous at that point, and they thought that if we hosted a Harry Potter party, the other parents would be confused and be like, well, what the hell is Harry Potter? So that shows you how long I've loved this series. But I also want to make clear that J.K. Rowling can like absolutely get stuffed. Don't care about her at all. And all the extra films and media and plays and tweets and information we've been getting, I'm over it at this point. I really am. She needs to stop. And we need to stop supporting her and giving her any money. So while I will always adore Harry Potter, we are on a bit of a break at the moment, and if I feel the urge to revisit the Harry Potter world, which I am a massive fan of, I'm currently just sticking to fan fiction, to be honest. So in summary, Harry Potter, adore it, with the caveat of fuck J.K. Rowling. Okay, moving on, we have the Millennium Trilogy, which is like, you know, the girl with the dragon tattoo on. Technically it's called the Millennium Trilogy. I think it's like a solid series. The first book's probably my favourite because it's just like a great murder mystery. And I remember the 3rd one, by the time it was the end, it was just kind of like a courtroom journalism drama, which I wasn't a massive fan of, but I do like the series. Okay, next is another childhood favourite, the Roman Mysteries series. I was super obsessed with these as a kid. They're about 4 friends in like 50 AD or something, solving mysteries and having adventures in ancient Rome. Ancient Italy? They're ancient Roman, but they're not in ancient Rome except for like one book. Ancient Italy? Let's just call it that. I would put this in Love It, but actually as an adult I can now appreciate that some of the representation was not good. Absolutely not. So I'm going to put that in Like It. And actually this is similar to the Lady Grace mysteries in that I thought I'd reached the end of the series, but I had not. And I think there are actually like 16 or 17 books overall. And I think I read up to like book 12 or 13, but this wasn't a case of thinking I'd reached the end of the series. It was a case of me kind of losing interest towards the end. So that's going to go in that tier. Yes, I feel confident about that. Next we have the Monstrous graphic novel series. That's going straight in Love It. This is probably my favourite graphic novel series of all time. I'm really obsessed with it. I love the complexity and the world building. Can you see that's a theme with me? Absolutely adore that. It's not quite like top tier series, but it is pretty high up there. And another thing I love about this series is it's quite like unapologetically matriarchal, and they really don't care about having lots of male representation, and I'm like, wow, I genuinely didn't think that was a thing that could be done. So shame on me for that, but also love this series for providing me with that realization, because nobody complained when, you know, Lord of the Rings has like 99% male characters, so why should I care if there's 99% female characters in Monstrous? I shouldn't is the answer. It's great. The Sally Lockhart Mysteries by Philip Pullman. I appreciated them at the time, but I think they have gone down in my estimation since then. This is like a mystery series set in Victorian London. which sounds cool, but I also feel like the books never quite measured up to my own imaginings of them and the potential I thought they had. Yeah, they never quite reach that. But I do use them quite a lot in like Bookstagram photos because the spines are all very nice strong colours and they're all different colours. So I use them a lot when I need to fill some space. Then we have Twilight. Just gonna dump that straight at the bottom. To be honest, I was really obsessed with Twilight for about a year before the film came out, and I read all 4 of the books. Actually, wait, no, was the 4th book not released until after the film came? I don't remember. I really loved them, was fully obsessed with them. I think I must have finished the series before I saw the first film. I'm not sure exactly what order they were released in, but I finished the 4 books. Then I saw the film of Twilight, and even as like a 12, 13-year-old, I was like, this is objectively a really bad film. And it did kind of kill my interest in the series, and obviously since then I've realised it's like super racist, so we're not gonna put that anywhere else. Okay, series of unfortunate events. This is a childhood absolute staple of mine. I got the first 3 books for Christmas when I was in year 2, but then it did take me like 7 years to finish the rest of the series. And by the time I got there, I had very much lost interest in it. And I do remember thinking that the last book was really disappointing. I just felt it was very underwhelming as a series conclusion. I thought it undermined a lot of the like character work and plot and character development of the previous 12 books I'd had to sit through to get there. So the last book was really disappointing, and I can't really put it anywhere else other than Tolerator, which is a bit sad to look back on because I did really love some of the earlier books in that series. But moving on, we have the Mates Date series. This was like a YA contemporary series about 4 friends, and they were all called like Mates Dates and something. And what's his first one? Mates Dates and Inflatable Bras is the first book. And I read these again in year 7 in my love affair with our school library. I read as many of them as I could. I actually don't know how many books there were in the end. It might have been 12. But I read them, all of them, in very quick succession. And I remember thinking as like a 12-year-old, I can't wait to be 14 because that's how old the girls in these books were. Because I thought like, oh, that's going to be so grown up. I'm going to be so cool when I'm 14. Obviously that never happened. But I'm tempted to put this in like it. But then I don't remember much of it. So I'm going to put it in Forgot It because I literally only remember the basic premises. It's 4 friends and they do things together. And one of them dates the older brother of one of the other girls at various points. That's literally all I can remember. But I have forgotten that very fondly, shall we say. Next is more Sarah J Maas goodness, or not. I have similar thoughts about the Throne of Glass series as I do the ACOTAR series, so that's going to go in the same tier. I'm at the point in my journey through this series that I can accept that it is quite fun and dumb and enjoyable, and it's not great literature, and if you think about it too hard, it doesn't really make sense. But I can appreciate it for its enjoyment value. So yeah, that was just a long-winded way of saying it's okay. Okay, on to the home stretch. The Uglies series. This was a dystopian series where I think when you turn 16 you get to have all this like plastic surgery and become sort of this fake plastic perfect version of yourself, and then obviously there's like the rebel corner who are like, no, we don't need surgery to look beautiful. And it was just like very mediocre. I didn't really enjoy it when I was reading it. There was the main 3, there was a core trilogy, and then there was an extra kind of like companion book at the end, which was set a little bit further in the future from the original series and kind of showed like the aftermath and the fallout of the main events. And that one was just like really bad. I didn't even finish that one. So that's not a fan. Wouldn't really recommend this. Even back in the day when like YA dystopia was having its heyday, it was definitely not one of the better ones. Next is the Lux series. I was obsessed, not with the content of these books, but with the covers. They were so gorgeous. They all had beautiful women on with these amazing ball gowns. I think it was set in like early 1900s New York. The ball gowns are, I'm realising now, not at all historically accurate, I don't think, but they were absolutely incredible. And that's mostly what I remember about the series. I'm going to put that in Forgot It because I don't remember pretty much anything that happened, except that the last book was mildly disappointing. But I really loved the cover of those books. The Lunar Chronicles. This was the first series I read because of BookTube. It was doing the rounds in like 2014, 2015, which was when I first found BookTube. And I bought all 4 books and I read them in a year and I really liked them. I don't think I would like them as much if I reread them now, but it gets props for like being a really solid book series, and one that I really enjoyed, and I do think I would enjoy it a second time round, just not as much, but I would still really like it, I think. I mean, you can see it behind me on my shelves here. Solid series, really liked it. Very glad that BookTube introduced me to that. Okay, Saga. I think that's gonna go and love it as well. Again, than Monstrous, best graphic novel series I've ever read. Actually, I haven't read that many graphic novel series, but those two are great in very different ways. And I know it's hardly like a hot take to say that I enjoyed Saga, but I did really enjoy Saga. It's really good. Okay, final three. We have the Spiderwick Chronicles. I, again, was obsessed with this as a child. I really, really love these books. I remember on a school trip in year 4 to a farm, which was like a week long, and so we had to stay there and we didn't see our parents for a week. Whenever we had school trips like this, my parents would pack me like little presents and like treats for me to open while I was away, so like I wouldn't get homesick. And on this school trip in year 4 to the farm, my present for that week was the 5th and final book in the Spiderwick Chronicles, and I was so excited. And it was great. So yeah, that was really good. And I actually haven't read any Holly Black books since. I know she's like really big now. Maybe she was really big back then, I don't know. But I'm not, to be honest, I'm not really tempted to read any of her other books. Okay, second to last we have The Chronicles of Narnia. This gets pros for being cool, and I like Narnia, I like the magic, but loses points for the Christian propaganda and just how like uneven it was between books, so I think that's gonna go in tolerate it. And finally, my love, Wolf Brother. I think this series is called The Chronicles of Ancient Darkness, and it's just a 10 out of 10 absolute favourite series forever and always, so that's going in Adore It. And yes, I'm done. Okay, do I want to change any of these? I mean, like it is my biggest category, but I think that's accurate. It's like a nice bell curve, you know? No, I think I'm gonna keep that as is. I'm pretty sure this is every series I've ever finished or read 4 more books of. Really hoping I haven't forgotten any. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. If you have read any of these like weird niche childhood books that I read, please let me know what you thought of them and how much you can remember about them. If you read all 100 books of the Rainbow Fairies series, I need to know. That's very important to me. I think I probably read like 35 of them, and even at that point as a child I was like, okay, this is pushing it. This is flogging a dead horse just a tiny bit. But yes, anyway, this was super fun. I think the screen recording worked out fine. So I hope you're having a good time with whatever you're reading, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!